Growing up, children are unable to buy their own stuff, often having to rely on their parents/guardians to buy stuff for them. This results in children developing childhood franchises. Some may develop COD or FIFA as their childhood franchises. Others may have Fortnite and Minecraft. Me? Well, I had Mario, Pokemon, and Sonic. Those three are my childhood franchises. All three of those franchises had something in common. Mediocre 2010s. Mario had an era where the games just started feeling samey. Felt like it was mandated. Pokemon's quality just dropped after Black and White 2, eventually leading to the Switch era where almost every game was just bad. And Sonic? He was in the worst place he's ever been, with two of the worst games in the series dropped in that single decade. Then came the 2020s. My interest in Mario came rocketing back with the release of Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, and then later, Super Mario Bros. Wonder. My interest in Pokemon came back with Pokemon Legends Arceus, the first game in the series to actually be up there with some of my favorite gens in the series. And while buggy, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are games that had very obvious passion in them. That's why when I saw the direction Sonic Frontiers was taking, I was excited. Mario and Pokemon were able to make a comeback. I knew Sonic could, except he didn't. It was the exact opposite. Sonic Frontiers became the worst game I've ever played. So, here's why. Sonic Frontiers, despite aiming for new frontiers, fails to reach any new frontiers at all. Sonic the Hedgehog was the protagonist of the hit 1991 Sega platformer Sonic the Hedgehog. The game was revolutionary for its lack of a run button and focus on momentum-based platforming. The game was widely successful as well. It single-handedly made Sonic the mascot for Sega, and one of the only platformers to actually compete with Super Mario himself. Sonic then had a notorious rough transition into 3D, a fact that has become a meme within the Sonic fanbase, and soon after, had the dark age of Sonic during the 2000s, which resulted in the game known as Sonic 06. Sonic then made a resurgence in 2010 with the release of Sonic Colors and later Sonic Generations, only to then lose it all again with a double combo of Sonic Lost World and Sonic Boom in 2014. Sonic then got even more embarrassing when Sonic Mania and Sonic Forces both came out in 2017, as the game made by fan developers completely outshined the main AAA Sonic Team game. Then, a long 5-year gap between the next Sonic Team game happened, and in that time, Sonic had a successful movie universe, but also had two very controversial ports. Then at the Game Awards 2021, Sonic Frontiers got its first teaser. It was a cinematic trailer. Gameplay wasn't shown until May, where we got a look at the game's open zone and combat. Needless to say, people were mixed at the time, something that would follow the discussion until a few months before release. Upon its release, Sonic Frontiers was met with praise from fans and reviewers alike. The game currently sits at 70 on a Metacritic today. Sonic Frontiers is often considered one of the best Sonic games. And that's exactly why this game confuses me, because either I got the most bugged copy of the game, or I played a completely different game instead. I'm not exaggerating when I say I don't understand why people like this game. It's that bad. But enough about history. Why is this game so bad? Well, let's play and find out. The game doesn't start with the game. Instead, it starts off with a short about Knuckles uploaded separately on YouTube with almost no acknowledgement in game. You see, most Sonic games recently have all had a short to go along with the game about to release, and Sonic Frontiers is no different. Although instead of being a separate story disconnected from Frontiers, the prologue animation is focused on explaining why Knuckles is at the Starfall Islands in the first place. Now granted, the information from the prologue isn't necessary to understand the game in any way, and at most, this first critique is a nitpick. But I brought it up since it is related to Sonic Frontiers, and I felt it should be covered. Let's actually cover the actual game now. The game starts off with Eggman finding a portal to cyberspace and then subsequently getting sucked in. It then cuts to Sonic, Tails, and Amy flying to the Starfall Islands, location this game takes place, and we already see our first big problem. The opening. Sonic openings are some of the best parts of these games. Even some of the worst games in the series have great openings to the games, such as 06, Shadow, or Freeriders. This game's opening shows a problem that the rest of the cutscenes have, as it's just the character standing around talking with movement similar to that of a Chuck E. Cheese animatronic. It would unironically be better if they pulled text boxes similar to that of the DS games, or even pulled out cutscenes similar to the storybook games, as those had far more personality and worked very well for those low-budget games. They don't, and so the cutscenes come off as stilted, lifeless, soulless, where the characters just talk about the most boring things, made even worse by Ian Flynn writing in references for the sake of being references. No reference in this game feels earned or well placed, and so it comes off as cheap nostalgia bait that can only be described as, "Look guys, we referenced the thing! We understand our source materials, we looked for the most niche things to reference!" Okay, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Where are we? Oh, Green Hill Zone. Oh, Green Hill Zone. The one place that can't seem to stop coming back. I know this game has Sonic moving like an animatronic, but we don't need to go that far. Anyway, I would like to defend Green Hill Zone for a moment, as I do think it is overhated. Green Hill Zone is the first location ever in a Sonic game and has appeared in multiple games throughout the series, such as Sonic 1, Sonic 1 Game Gear, Sonic 2 Game Gear, Sonic Chaos, Sonic Blast, Sonic Advance 1, Sonic Adventure 2, Sonic Generations 3DS, Sonic Mania, Sonic Forces, and lastly, Sonic Frontiers. And yes, I know that Chaos and Advance have a different name, it's still called Green Hill Zone. Anyway, while yes, Sega has brought Green Hill Zone back in damn near every single game since Generations, Forces at least did something new different with it instead of being the same old Green Hills. Now of course, that was Forces, so it didn't do it well, but I do think the hate for Green Hills is a little unjustified. So hopefully Frontiers uses Green Hill better. Oh my fucking god. Alright, let's rip this band-aid off now. Fuck cyberspace! Cyberspace alone can last me hours on end, so let's just cover it all at once. First up, there are 30 cyberspace levels, but only 6 of the 30 levels are actually original! That is because Sonic Team reuses level design from the following 3 games: Sonic Adventure 2, Sonic Unleashed, and Sonic Generations! Oh, but if that wasn't worrying, Sonic Generations is level stolen from both classic and modern Sonic! So that's 3 separate styles of Sonic gameplay mapped onto one Sonic that wasn't made with the levels in question in mind! You don't even need to be a game designer to know how bad that truly is. Oh, and if that wasn't bad enough, cyberspace levels weren't even play tested. Whole levels have 3 extra goals, that being collect X number of rings, collect all 5 red rings, and beat the stage in X amount of time. That third one's important because the clear times on levels were not tested. You can have one level be almost impossible to beat without speedrunner exploits, or you can have a level where you can play super casual, take 20 plus hits, and still beat the required time! Some people will defend this by saying skill issue, but why should I be expected to learn speedrunner strats for the second cyberspace level in the game? If it was the last island in the game, maybe I would understand, but it isn't. It's the second level in the game, and a required one at that. To get a bit ahead of myself, part of the intended gameplay loop involves getting a progression item from cyberspace. I'll talk about later, stuff like this makes me want to engage less with cyberspace because there's no good reward for doing so. It's part of the core problem with Sonic Frontiers, in that it's a waste of fucking time. Okay, well, let's take a small break from cyberspace and cover it as it comes along, because I can't seem to get this fucking band-aid off. Upon clearing Cyberspace 1-1, Sonic finds himself in a conversation with GLaDOS, but sadly, GLaDOS does not bring her charm with her because the voice director in this game is that one robot from the fucking Archie comics. I'll just cover this as well. The voice direction sucks ass in this game. There's an infamous clip online of Roger covering his direction for Sonic in this game, and it illustrates the problem exactly. Give it a listen.
And I'm thinking, for Sonic, so I'm like, okay, you know, it's over, Egghead. And he's like, a little deeper. And I'm like, it's over, Egghead. A little deeper. It's over, Egghead. It's like, a little deeper. It's over, Egghead. And he's like, right there. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me.
Now, here's the thing. Roger and the rest of the cast did the best job with what they could, and I do not blame them for anything wrong with this game's voice acting. However, this game's problem is that the cast is being way too fucking serious with their voices, and it really comes off as trying too hard. The problem with this voice cast in general is that they just do not fit the characters they are playing. Characters have the same exact designs from Adventure, which had way different voices made for them, as characters like Tails or Amy were meant to be way younger than their current voice actors actually sound.
Select a memory card.
Maybe they knew something about their power that we don't.
Select a memory card.
Oh, right!
Which, again, isn't a problem with the voice acting, but rather the voice direction / casting and design of the characters. Roger and the rest of the 2010 cast can play a good Sonic and his friends. Sonic Boom was this cast at their best, and that's because that version of Sonic was made with the 2010 cast in mind. This game, once again, puts a square in a triangle hole and just expects it to fit even though it really doesn't. I actually like the idea of the Sonic cast moving on and going to find new frontiers, but this game really doesn't feel like that. Nothing in this game really gives the impression that the cast is getting older other than the voice acting. And the voice direction combined with the animation really do give the impression of these characters being creepy animatronics. Let's move on though. We have a new world to explore. An open zone. Sonic Frontier starts off by giving us a simple tutorial on how to jump and shows us how to move around by collecting rings. Basic tutorial 101, but that's honestly the bare minimum with this game. Scattered all throughout the open zones are missions. The first one is incredibly simple, but immediately introduces a big fucking problem with this game. The map. The fucking map! You see, every mission you do unlocks one segment of the map, but instead of clearing out a whole area, it clears it out by clearing specific squares of the map. All squares leave the map when you do every mission of the island you are on. The square will cover up all UI elements below it. Even stuff you have already discovered or have even done on the map will be covered up by the map squares. There is one case later on where you will clear a mission and the cleared mission marker for the mission you just did will be under a square and will not go away until you clear every mission on that island. This is by far the worst map system I have ever used in a video game, and 10 out of 10 times made the game more frustrating. I haven't even covered everything about the map yet, because there is more. Oh, there's a fuck ton more. The game then forces us to take a homing attack tutorial and then immediately after throws us into combat which just involves homing attacking a few enemies, which makes you wonder what the point of the homing attack tutorial before was even for. We then get an introduction to the enemies of this game, after already defeating 4. We get a few more spots to do some extra platforming challenges for more pink hearts, and so far, exploration seems to be rewarding. However, don't explore too much as you may encounter some weird invisible walls that exist for no reason by interacting with your environment in the open zone. We then encounter our first mini-boss, Ninja. The one mini-boss the fanbase overhyped the hell out of, the game then teaches us how to lock on, which we do, and then we play a boring boss fight where you spam the homing attack and then either occasionally dodge or get hit and grab a single ring. This is arguably the combat its most complex because it does get more simple later on. After exploring more side paths and being rewarded, we then come up to a puzzle where we learn that Sonic is Silver's father as he now has telekinesis. With no acknowledgement to this massive lore development, we enter through a doorway and continue with more side paths. This game must love its exploration, and we immediately get introduced to the skill tree and side loops, in which the game will automatically give us a side loop via the skill tree. The side loop basically lets Sonic leave a trail behind wherever he walks, and if you walk in a circle with it, you can get rewards like rings, skill points, and worst of all, those pink hearts you get by exploring. You can get infinite amounts of them. So, fun fact, after getting introduced to this skill in the skill tree, you also get the save option, but then you immediately get it taken away from you for no reason, even though you just had a tutorial for it. So, like, what's the fucking point? But then, after you solve the puzzle, you're just given the menu back, but you still can't save. It's like, what? But then, we finally reach Cyberspace 1-2, where we learn that cyberspace levels can be accessed by the gears you get from mini-bosses scattered about the land. So, you beat for exploration? As I mentioned earlier, this level requires speedrun strats if you want to get the S rank. This is bad game design as there are these keys that are locked behind the S ranks that you will eventually need for progression. Items like those should never be locked behind speedrun strats. If Sonic Team wanted to reward players for putting in the time and actually getting really good at the game, they should have implemented an X rank that surpasses the S rank. This X rank should be treated like the Platinum Relics in Crash Bandicoot, where they only serve as bragging rights. Otherwise, they cause the game to feel unfair to players playing for the game, which is never a feeling a gamer should have to feel. It's okay to challenge your players, but the challenge has to be fair and earned. Sonic 2's final boss is a prime example of a hard yet fair boss, where you're given no rings and must no damage the final boss. all attacks can be dodged. It just comes down to your skill. Cyberspace 1-2, on the other hand, requires you to learn an entirely different game just to get one key. On top of this, it is the second level in the game, meaning most are barely even accustomed with the main game. To expect expert level play early on will make most players frustrated, especially when later levels will be way easier, making this level stand out. Cyberspace 1-2 would be way less insulting to the player if it was in the last island instead of the first, and also if it wasn't one of the few required cyberspace levels in the game. So, cool thing about releasing this video in parts is that I get more feedback for the video since the video is split into parts. And surprisingly, I got a lot of feedback on part 1, mostly from Reddit and YouTube. Most of the feedback was stuff that didn't need the script to be redone in any way, but as you can kinda guess, that is the case here. Welcome to the one of 2 things I got wrong about this video before it released, that being Cyberspace 1-2. Cyberspace 1-2 does not require speedrun strats to get the S rank. I was wrong about that. When I was doing research for this part, I wasn't looking at YouTube shorts. Why is this relevant? Because there are YouTube shorts that show this being done without what I would consider a speedrun strat. But the YouTube videos I saw doing this all did something I wouldn't consider a normal strategy. Sadly, the file I kept the shorts and videos on are long gone, so forgive me for not being there to provide a source for my information this time. So why didn't I look at YouTube shorts? First reason. At the time, I don't recall being able to view the date of the short. Why does the date matter? Well, the game got updates, and as I'll go into later, one of these updates added a new feature that does affect how cyberspace is played. I want to make sure the date was near launch or before said update. Second reason, screen size. Shorts aren't the best way to measure if Cyberspace 1-2 needs speedrun strats to get the S rank, as the screen has to fit a vertical phone screen, and last I checked, Sonic Frontiers is not Subway Surfers. I hope this explains my mistake. The cool thing about this mistake is that it doesn't really mean my point is just gone. Cyberspace 1-2 is still balls to the wall hard, and is not good as a challenge for the second level in the game. Anyway, let's resume. As we cross a new bridge formed by us clearing Cyberspace 1-2, we see a music note. This gives us Planet Wisp in our jukebox, which, if we ever get bored by the music, we can play. But why would we ever get bored by this? Oh. So, we then climb up, get our blue Chaos Emerald, and see this big, sprawling world in front of us. We see 3 things: a new mission, a big enemy, and our current goal. The mission is incredibly easy and baby-like, but the same cannot be said for our next mini-boss. Oh wait, never mind, regular enemy, okay. These floating balls in the sky are meant to be defeated by one attack, but since you most likely encounter one without that attack at first, welcome to one of the most annoying fights in the game, where you have to homing attack and then pray you're able to dodge its electric shield. We then fight the next mini-boss, Ashura, which is incredibly bullshit in its own right. To fight Ashura, you must climb it and reach the top of its head. Defeat the pillar on its head, and you will be launched off in an animation way too similar to the Get Hit animation, as seen in my footage. The boss doesn't even have shadows, which means if you have the camera looking down at Sonic, you cannot see that you are about to be hit. Reminder that in Sonic games, getting crushed is an insta-kill, and yet the second boss in the game can do that to you in a non-telegraphed way if you have your camera facing down. I know most players will be looking up, but in this clip I provided, I was trying to take advantage of the side loop mechanic, and that's why I had my camera down. If I could see the shadow of the attack that was incoming, this wouldn't have been an unfair hit. However, that's not the only bullshit part of this fight. Because Sonic has combat in this game, his homing attack is also his punch button, which means if you're not targeting any enemies, instead of dashing forward like in other games, Sonic will stand still and just punch in midair, and Sonic cannot move in midair after this. You lose all your speed and momentum, which makes the platforming segments way worse than they already are. So how does this apply to Ashura? Well, to climb Ashura's head, you must go for these blue rings that launch you into the sky, and then you must homing attack Ashura's head. However, if you do it too early, Sonic will punch and you will fall with no way to save yourself. This is incredibly frustrating because the lack of air movement means you just have to sit and wait there for Sonic to awkwardly fall down. So something I haven't mentioned yet are the updates for Sonic Frontiers and also the options menu. The updates came in 3 waves, all with different features. One of the updates added new options to the options menu. This specifically included jump deceleration. If you set it to 0, the game apparently becomes better. However, I'm not touching them. This section of the options menu basically lets you change the physics of the game, which proves that Sonic Team is just not competent at their jobs. Platformers need to be made with their physics in mind, so that way the level design can be made with the physics. By turning in the sliders, the developers cannot make level design with any one of the physics settings in mind, which means that the platforming challenges will either be incredibly basic or impossibly hard. It's for this reason that I did not change any of the physics setting during my playthrough. I stuck with the default during my playthrough. I am the gamer, not the developer. It's not my job to fix the game. Anyway, back to Ashura again. Oh, this boss is fucking glitchy as well. Anyway, as I mentioned before, when Ashura knocks you down, it feels as if you've taken damage. However, that also means you have to wait for Sonic to recover. In this clip, I barely had enough time to get up and dodge, before I eventually died to an insta-kill. Throughout this fight, it can be incredibly hard to tell what does and doesn't hurt you because of the lack of delay and Sonic losing his rings. And also, well, the lack of smooth animation also makes it worse. In this clip, you can see I got hit, dropped a ring, and then got hit again almost immediately, and died instantly. Notice that I found out that Sonic has no invincibility frames in this game. This is probably why most enemies launch you, or why enemies must go for a full combo before you actually take damage. It's also why rings do not work for a combat-focused game. Okay, let's get into this. Rings work exactly the same as in every other game in the series. You can collect them, but if you get hit, you lose all of them. So one ring is all you need to survive. However, this game and many others do incentivize collecting many rings. In a lot of the 2D games, rings let you access special or bonus stages. So in the boost games, collecting rings is how you keep your boost gauge up. In the Frontier's case, maxing out your ring gauge will increase your attack and base speed. While it may sound nice, it makes it to where you either need one ring or all of your rings. Rings acting as your HP is why making Sonic combat focus is not a good thing, because Sonic just needs one ring to live and is basically unkillable, making combat even more simple than it already was. That combined with the fact that enemies always launch you means that you will always end up with one ring. And again, if you get max rings, your speed increases automatically, which means platforming challenges also have to be made with that in mind. Alright, but back to Ashura again. After all that, all you have to do to beat Ashura is spam the homing attack. I shit you not, I beat Ashura by spamming the homing attack. We then go to Cyberspace 1 Free and see one of the few original levels in this game, on what is also the only unique theme in this game. Because despite reusing level designs, there are only 4 themes used in Cyberspace, those being Green Hill, Chemical Plant, Sky Sanctuary, and the only new theme, Eternal Highway. It is embarrassing how Sonic Team will reuse level design from older games and then only make 4 themes for those levels! But then we move on to the main story and meet Amy Rose. Oh, poor Amy Rose. They butchered her this game. Amy Rose is not Amy Rose in this game. She is basically a completely different character from any of her previous appearances, which is very strange for this game as every other characters do feel like themselves except for one other. She may as well be called Samantha. Amy hasn't had a game with a big role since Unleashed, as she's been a side character in the 2010 games where she was just kinda there. To give an idea of Amy's character up to this point, Amy started out as a Sonic fangirl, stalking Sonic and even following him to Little Planet in CD, where she ended up getting kidnapped by Metal Sonic, who I'm honestly surprised didn't appear in this game. Then she disappeared until Adventure 1, where she once again shows her crush on Sonic in full display. This game, she's being chased by a robot named Zero. No, not that Zero, this one, and has to keep a little bluebird safe. She ends this game still on Sonic's tail. Then in Sonic Adventure 2, Amy breaks into a high security prison just to save Sonic. Mind you, she did this without Tails, without Knuckles, she did this by herself. The only thing that potentially stopped her was Eggman, but Tails happened to step in at that time. Even then, Tails probably wasn't even fucking needed. Then in Sonic Heroes, she forms her own team with Cream and Big. And after Heroes, she then saves Sonic from being killed by Silver in 06. During that moment, Sonic acknowledges that Amy can take Silver on. Then in Unleashed, Sonic becomes a werehog, and then is actually embarrassed to let Amy see him as a werehog. Later in that same game, Sonic promises to go on a date with Amy. And in Black Knight, Sonic is supposed to go on that date with Amy, but misses it due to Black Knight's plot pulling him in. And finally, nothing. This date is never acknowledged, and Amy's character at this point changes into someone else. I have a mini theory that Colors is meant to be a Sonic Amy adventure, but changed very early into a Sonic and Tails adventure. That's irrelevant, however. Samantha in this game is... well, she's incredibly basic. She's gone from a character with a pretty great arc to just being kind to character. She wants to help these two Cocos get together, and that's really it. I honestly have nothing to say about her character other than she is not Amy. Anyway, those pink hearts are memory tokens used to unlock conversations with Samantha on the map. Some conversations are needed for story progression and some are completely pointless. On top of this, we need keys to get the Chaos Emeralds around the map, so we need to defeat the mini-bosses to access cyberspace and get the keys to get the Chaos Emeralds. Oh, what's this blue thing on the map? Oh, that's a lot of keys. So, you see this vast open world? You see all the places you can explore. Well, newsflash! You don't need to engage with any of the open world, you can quite literally just find side loop spots around the world. Get the keys from those, or even the gears from those, and use those to get every Chaos Emerald needed for a given segment. You can also just spin around in circles and get every memory token needed to progress to the next big story segment. Now usually this would be on the player as they are the ones pressing the buttons, but I've already gone over why combat is bad. I haven't even finished talking about cyberspace yet, and I'm gonna tell you why going for every memory token is a waste of your goddamn time. Memory tokens are basically moons in Mario Odyssey. You get them for doing simple platforming challenges or by making circles on the ground. There is no limit to the amount you can get by doing circles. As I mentioned before, the platforming in this game suffers from having no physics made with it in mind, leading to almost every platforming challenge being incredibly easy. However, with the release of Update 2, Sonic Frontiers actually became a worse video game because you see, Update 2 introduced two new big mechanics, Special Cocos and Time Trials. If you clear every time trial in the game, which you can't do until the final island, you unlock the Spin Dash. Why is that important? Well, the Spin Dash is basically a boost more than the actual boost. Alright, we have to cover that as well. Because of that, the Special Coco platforming challenges require the Spin Dash, which, may I remind you, you cannot get until the final island. And since the game doesn't distinguish a Special Coco from a regular memory token, you may be slamming your head against the wall for this game's unfair design. Okay, so I fucked up. It turns out you don't need the Spin Dash. You just need speedrunner levels of skill and possibly luck, / the correct settings, which is a different discussion. I want to give thanks to various angels on Twitter for being one of the only Sonic Frontiers fans to actually back up their claims with evidence. You have no idea how happy it made me to actually be wrong about something when it came to this game. I've been so worried about saying something wrong due to a lack of knowledge on a specific subject. I want to take this moment and explain why I thought the Spin Dash was required. Guides on YouTube have Sonic stats at max, and the way the platforms are lined up to me, it looks like either A, Sonic needs a boost, or B, Sonic needs a Spin Dash. So knowing how the game is, seeing how Final Horizon's own platforming challenges required a Spin Dash, I just figured Sonic Team was being lazy as they are with the rest of the game. I even had a friend at the time who was dick riding the fuck out of this game, try and do the platforming challenges at default settings, low stats. And she did similar tricks to the video I was provided, but couldn't make it herself. When she said it was impossible, I figured that was it. Granted, the clip I was provided very clearly was unintentional or barely made the platforms, plus it may not have been in default settings, so Sonic Team may have designed it with the Spin Dash in mind. Either way, I was wrong and felt it necessary to correct myself. Right, may as well explain Cocos as well. Cocos are unneeded. They're only here for Sonic to collect and then give to an Elder Coco so he can upgrade Sonic's speed and max ring count. However, because the game has the max ring bonus, you should never upgrade your ring count until the finale of the game. And as stated, having to upgrade your speed in a platformer means the game can't be designed around its physics and speed. There is also a Hermit Coco around the world which you can talk to so you can increase your attack and defense. However, defense only affects how many rings you lose, which doesn't mean much since you only need one ring to live. Attack doesn't do anything more than just keep battles the same speed as always. Sonic Frontiers can often feel like it doesn't even know what it wants to be. The game is basically Sonic Team throwing multiple ideas into a blender and not giving any care to actually making a good game. Frontiers apparently took so long to make because they had to fix the engine multiple times, just to have an open zone. And then they apparently had to rush out the final game. However, they weren't going to have time for an open zone, just make another boost game at that point. Save the open zone for the next game, or even have it just be a hub world. Pull a Pokemon and transition in small steps. Sonic Frontiers is always going to sell well anyway because it's the first Sonic game to be released after the Sonic movie, which grossed $400 million at the box office. I know some of that went to Paramount / the second movie, but I highly doubt none of it went back to Sonic Team. A big issue at Forces was its lack of staff, and with the increased budget and also it being Sonic, I highly doubt Sega gave Frontiers a small budget, given how other Sega teams are able to make games within less time. I do not see how Sega is at fault for Frontiers at all, especially when comparing Sonic Team to RGG Studios. Any and all blame on Sega for this mess of a game just doesn't make sense. Speaking of boosts, the boosts in this game also suck. Because of the open zone, Sonic's boost had to be drastically reduced due to the game being a completely different genre. Now, it just comes off as an unsatisfying dash button. Sonic in this game is meant to be a fusion of his adventure gameplay and his boost gameplay, but it really feels like no care was actually given to actually see if this is fun, and the world design just doesn't complement Sonic as well. Not only are the platforming challenges just unfun and samey, but the world is just a bunch of fields and rails with the occasional ruins, boss, cyberspace entrances, springs, and side loop spots to fit in. However, there are some things that do stand out in these worlds, one of which being an upside down pyramid. This fucking pyramid is the thing that made this game the worst game of all time to me. Remember how the first part of Kronos Island taught the player to look around for those memory tokens? Well, once the player gets the ability to fully explore Kronos Island, they might choose to explore, caught up in the world, then look for landmarks. Kronos Island only has 4. A field of pillars, an Eggman base, a waterfall, and the upside down pyramid. When you get below the pyramid, you can see an arena with the boss tower. After defeating Tower, a spring appears, allowing for the player to climb the pyramid, and at the top is a Chaos Emerald that if you didn't have the keys for at the time, you would have to jump down the pyramid, and once you're down, you can't just skip travel back. You can't even get a shortcut back. You basically just wasted your time climbing a pyramid, and you had no idea because the game gave no warnings. As a matter of fact, the game encouraged you to explore its tutorial of the open zone. Oh, but it gets worse. Way worse. You see, it's not just this pyramid. Both Ares and Chaos Island do this too! There are Chaos Emeralds hidden behind platforming challenges that actually stand out. And if you explore, you will waste your time! That's another reason why just side-looping all your memory tokens is a good idea. Because there's no reason to explore! Oh, but that's not even half of it. In Rhea Island, there are 5 towers you have to climb to progress. If you fall, you get shortcuts to climb back up. So why don't those exist for the upside down pyramid? Why is there no switch to actually make it so you don't waste your time? Oh. And there's another instance where the game will prevent you from going through a platforming challenge to grab an emerald early! On the final fucking island! There is a part where you need to get the keys before you can even access the platforming challenge needed to get the fucking emerald! Where the fuck was that design philosophy anywhere else in the game? Oh, and fucking Sonic fans will unironically defend this by saying, well, just don't explore! Then don't make a game about exploration! I'm grabbing some fucking water. Fuck this shit. This game fucking sucks. I fucking can't do the stout water. Alright, I'm back, and oh, that's a meteor shower and just lights everywhere. Pinball. So yeah, welcome to this game's equivalent of the Blood Moon from Breath of the Wild. A meteor shower where purple coins are scattered everywhere. A random ass slot machine that just sticks out. It's playing itself and beams of light are everywhere. It's a mess and feels very slapped on, but thankfully you can turn it off, which I did. Oh, you mean you couldn't turn that off in base game? What the fuck? Oh, but purple coins basically act as a currency for Big the fucking Cat, because he somehow got here and he just started a fishing hut, which gets you more keys, more gears, more memory tokens, because fuck playing the game, am I right? Yeah, anyway, Big has Eggman lore, which I'm not touching. Eggman's pretty much irrelevant in this game anyway. Fishing minigame in this game also is incredibly fucking basic. You just press A once. Kirby in the Forgotten Land was more complicated than this. Also, Sonic has a cut-in like he's a Persona protagonist. You are not him! But yeah, in case you hate the game even more, you can just skip everything by fishing! Because fuck actually designing a well-made video game that encourages the player to actually play the fucking game! Anyway, we need to get the 7 Chaos Emeralds to defeat this giant boss that gave us the only cutscene in the game with actual movement. Well, damn, good on you. Get the Chaos Emeralds, you need to find them in either a vault or do main story. Main story quests hardly ever have you engage with the actual game's main mechanics. Instead, you most likely are playing a minigame. On Kronos Island, you have to play the following minigames. Twilight Princess's goat minigame, then you have to get rid of weeds. Hi Chaos, is Sonic going, okay, Sonic isn't acknowledging you, alright, okay. Good writing, Flynn. And, okay, alright. Then we play a puzzle where we have to connect mirrors. Cool. And now we have to access to fight the boss with only 6 emeralds. For some reason, Sonic thinks he can fight him without the 7th now. Before we head to the boss, let me just give my thoughts on Kronos Island. Like, right now. Kronos Island, despite talking about it for 12 pages, is what I would consider a mid-map for this game. It's ranked at number 4 out of the 6. Yeah, you heard me. 6 islands in this game! How to be fair, a lot of the maps won't have nearly as much as talked about compared to Kronos. Anyway, climb the top of the waterfall to reach Giganto, our first sight and boss, and oh, the final Chaos Emerald is with him, and Yoink, and, Oh my god. Oh my fucking god! This theme is fucking awesome! This, my friends, is the best song in the game! Undefeatable! This isn't just a good Sonic song to me, this is in the top 10 Sonic songs for me and many others! Welcome to the one thing I'll be positive about with this game! These fucking Titan themes! Well, specifically the ones that aren't, I'm here. They got Kellen fucking Quinn to come and sing these themes, and he absolutely killed it with these free songs. I fucking love Undefeatable, Break Through It All, and Find Your Flame. These three songs are so good that this game goes from a 0 out of 10 to a 0.000000001 out of 10 to me. Undefeatable to me is the Super Sonic theme, and I want it to fucking return. Undefeatable is so good, it's actually the reason I bought this game. I was very mixed on whether or not I should buy this game at launch. Footage of the game didn't look good, but people said otherwise. This song is what pushed me. Well, that would make anyone else hate it. I just can't hate this song. I really fucking can't. Sonic Frontiers, you are a piece of shit that may or may not have killed my grandma, but you at least have one redeemable quality when Undefeatable. After this Frontiers video, I actually plan on making a video about video game music, and while I won't be talking about Frontiers after this video, I am making an exception for that video as I want to bring up Undefeatable and also the rest of this soundtrack. Because as much as I praise Undefeatable, this is not a Sonic 06 situation where the OST is so good. No. Overall, this is a pretty shit soundtrack. Especially when you remove the Titan themes. I actually have a playlist to keep track of all the themes I actually like in this game, and it's only 12 songs, and its OST has 146 songs in it. I get the music is subjective, but that's not really the best sign. Tomoyo Otani is the lead composer behind the OST, and I've never seen a bigger fall-off of a career that isn't related to controversy. This dude started the series in Sonic 06, and when comparing this masterpiece, that OST, to this OST, you would not know it was the same guy. Since Colors, Otani has started leaning into electronic music, and it started being very noticeable with Forces. However, Forces songs still had some melody to them. Most Frontier songs do not. The OST is either Breath of the Wild, A Bad Raid Party, or Kellen Quinn. Also, a Breath of the Wild type OST for Sonic does not work for Sonic. Sonic is the type of game where you should have an awesome beat to run to, not a quiet piano every now and then. For the rest of this video, I'll be telling you what songs I do and do not like. We are currently at 2 of 12, those 2 songs being 1-2 flowing, and a fucking course, Undefeatable. Anyway, Super Sonic is basically regular Sonic in combat, except his moves have been superified. Basically, run towards Giganto and just attack him and move on. Oh, and also, you can't lose rings. Rings simply act as your timer, leading to this fight being kind of mindless. And then, we finally leave Kronos Island and finally head off to Ares Island. I'll let the rest of this song play. Super Sonic is heading towards Ares Island when he gets shot by a fucking laser, which he proved in the Giganto fight to be able to stop a Super Sonic, so once again, great writing, Flynn. Anyway, Sonic hits the sand face first and watches as the Chaos Emeralds each go back to a specific vault. Anyway, welcome to Ares Island, the fucking desert world. Ares Island is fine. It's the most okay of all the islands. Doesn't piss me off in any ways other islands don't do, but it doesn't do anything good for itself either. Best thing I can say is that having Let the Speed Mend It play on the jukebox while running around this specific location is the best running around feels in this game. That it's A, something an update added, and B, not the way the developers actually made the location. So yeah, I guess I'll take this time to talk about combat a little more, as by this point in the game, you should already have all the skill, which makes combat even more simplistic. As I mentioned before, combat is at its most complex when you have just a homing attack, because that's when you actually have to dodge attacks. However, once you get the skill called Sonic Boom, you basically get two options when it comes to combat. Use Sonic Boom or parry. If you hold down both shoulder buttons, you can parry, which you can hold as parry for a very long time. If you get hit at any point while using it, you'll still do a parry. Sonic Boom is basically an attack that lets you attack from a distance by pressing one button. Sonic will slowly fall to the ground and will not stop attacking until he hits the ground. Most enemies just do not get close to you fast enough for them to get a hit in. There are other attacks, but they A, don't do much, or B, they're cutscenes with no player input that don't flow well and take too long. The only other move in this game that's decent is the stomp, but it's situational at best. Really, once you get Sonic Boom, you have no reason to use any other move. Also, as if the devs knew combat would get stale, a lot of the mini-bosses were just given special gimmicks that don't help with combat at all, so you have no reason to actually learn the combat. But that's basically combat. Oh, and Knuckles. Knuckles in this game is ironically the best character, because like Samantha, he's not Knuckles. He does chuckle, but unlike Samantha, the new character is legitimately funny for all the wrong reasons. You see, Knuckles is treated as a general of war, the same way he was in Forces. And later on, he commands an army that all fucking die under his leadership, the same way he did in Forces. Ares Island is so ironically funny for all the wrong reasons. There's a portion later on where Sonic and Knuckles have a flashback to when they met in Sonic 3, but instead of making a 3D still shot, they just use a picture from Sonic 3 twice! It is ironically the funniest moment in the game. Other than that, Sonic and General Knuckles have some decent conversations, but despite being referenced the game, neither Sonic or Knuckles acknowledge chaos. As a matter of fact, the new Chaos Drive is never brought up. It is glossed over by every character in the game, including Sonic and Knuckles, who, mind you, in lore, Chaos was the one who killed the entire Echidna tribe, leaving Knuckles as the last one. So it feels really weird for Knuckles to not acknowledge the one who killed his entire species. And also, why the fuck are Chow not in this game? Especially with Chaos appearing, where the fuck are the Chow? Ares Island's minigames this time around involve carrying a missile to empty a pond, saving soldiers from being crushed by giant floating drills from the bumfucks of nowhere, Twilight Princess goat herding again, but this time the goats can bomb you, fighting 4 towers at once, which requires you to know how to beat them in a specific way, something the game just expects you to know, by the way. This is also one of the only instances of the game making you fight as a non-super in combat, and then you literally have to play an elementary school game where you grab a red ball to put it in the red hole, a blue ball to put it in the blue hole, and so on. Reminder that Sega wants Sonic to be serious again. After doing that and getting all the Chaos Emeralds, we can take on the Titan of this specific area, Wyvern. Wyvern has us climb a tower as regular Sonic and then basically run on the Starlight Carnival Road to reach it so you can grab the last emerald to become Super Sonic. Wyvern's fight is the most unique of the Titan fights. Its gimmick is that you have to catch up to Wyvern to actually damage it. It's the most dynamic of the Titan fights and is honestly the best one for it. Oh, right. All the Titan fights besides Giganto and one later on have gimmicks. They know how samey these fights are. Wyvern is still pretty simple, and that pretty much wraps up Ares Island. In terms of good music, there was 2-4 Hype Street, and the other one was, of course, Breakthrough It All. I do want to give one shout out to probably the worst song in the franchise with 2-5 Deja Vu. It is quite literally the laziest / most soulless song in the franchise history. I'd personally say Ares Island is the second best island in the game, but that doesn't really mean much at all. We move on to see Sonic get hit by another laser that he could just block. Oh, never mind, we're just fucking here. Worst one in the game! Just what the hell were they thinking? Forcing a player into 2D for almost every fucking platforming challenge! Why the fuck did they make this place so big with no fucking skip travel? You can't go 2 feet without getting forced into a 2D platforming challenge! And some of the rail placements are so hyper-specific, why the fuck did they place one of the rails you need to grind Chaos Emerald at a place completely far away from where it's meant to be? You can't see the rails in the fucking fog! So you'll basically be stumbling around for hours until the fog clears, and the very places you picked the apple rail to get to the Blue Emerald Island island! And so far, you'll just spend 30 fucking minutes just checking the location and won't have anything! Oh, and some of the guardians in this fucking island are so fucking annoying! They just have a large aggro range and just constantly disturb your gameplay! Oh, and the rails. So many fucking rails! Go everywhere around the island. There's no coherent design here. This is legitimately the worst experience to ever grace a Sonic game. Imagine playing Mario Odyssey, but being forced to a 2D segment every 5 seconds while exploring Sand Kingdom! Or playing Breath of the Wild and suddenly Link gets stuck in a 2D plane! Kishimoto literally cannot design for his life, and this island is living proof! Oh my god, the minigames fucking suck! You have Nier Automata Galaga, the Final Fantasy VII Remake box minigame, a fucking dive minigame, and fucking pinball! All of which fucking suck! Why did Sega make this man the director of the series? What dirt does he have on Sega to let him design games? He clearly cannot make good games! And also, how the fuck is this game considered good? How did anyone play this part and think, this is one of the best Sonic games? Yeah, maybe the best at being the fucking worst! This part of the game made me want to play Paper Mario fucking Sticker Star! Which was previously my least favorite game of all time! But Sticker Star looks like a fucking masterpiece compared to this shit! And again, this isn't because of Sega. Sonic Team is simply incompetent at their jobs! If you look at any other Sega team, they are incompetent! Fuck this game! Alright, let's explain this better and more slowly. Fast travel in this game is left behind doing every single mission on the map, and is limited to cyberspace portals. But by the time you get every mission done, you should already be done with most of the tasks in a given area, so fast travel may as well not exist. This game tries to be unique, but there is a reason most devs end up using the same fast travel systems, and the same type of map systems. It's because they are perfect! You don't fix what isn't broke! The game is a mishmash of ideas that don't work together at all! Stop sticking a fucking square in a triangle hole! And worst of all, this game had 13 fucking playtesters, and all I have to say is, why? How does this happen with 13 playtesters? When Sonic Mania and Sonic Forces were both being shown at Gamescom, the way Sega treated footage of the games at the event told a story. Sonic Mania was given all the press. Sega wanted this game shown. Sonic Forces was banned for having camera footage of it being shown. Sega didn't want the game shown. Can you guess how Sega treated Sonic Frontiers at Gamescom the year it came out? They treated it the exact same way they treated Forces. Sega themselves didn't want the game shown! The Gamescom event actually had the first ever look at cyberspace, which also revealed the fact that the cyberspace levels were reused! Speaking of cyberspace, all the cyberspace levels in Chaos Island are read from other games. And for context, there have only been 2 cyberspace levels that have been original so far. The other 4 are all relegated to the last island. It's been stated that the reason level design was reused for cyberspace was because it represented Sonic's memories. But that's bullshit, because Sonic Generations also did that, and minus free levels in the 3DS version, had original level design for every fucking level in the game! Including the extra levels! Also, as a reminder, this game was priced at $60. $60 for 5 nothing open worlds! 24 reused levels from previous games, with nothing added, and worse controls, and mostly just taken away cutscenes that are the definition of Soulless as well. The real reason they had to reuse all the level design was because they were running out of time, because they went all in on an open world idea that they weren't ready for. Even though some of these levels required them to make new assets, one level also required them to create a brand new drifting mechanic for Sonic Frontiers. Welcome to the worst level in Sonic history! Legitimately, I'm not even gonna say anything. I'm just gonna show you my blind reaction to this level. It also has classic Sonic as well. So there are 3 playstyles in this one game.
Not to mention Sonic Adventure 2.
No, like only Sonic. Oh, I wasn't ready for the drift system. Hold on, I forgot that this is that game technically.
Yeah, they just slapped that in there too.
Yeah, they have a new drift system. Oh my god,
And it's dog shit.
oh my god. Oh my god. What the fuck was that? Oh my god. What the fuck? What the fuck did I just fucking play? Oh my... What the fuck? What the fuck? I'm holding left, by the way. Or I'm holding right now. But what the fuck? No. Go back. There's no fucking way I can go back. What the fuck?
It always slows you down.
I am... What the fuck? What the... Holy shit! What the fuck am I playing? Holy shit! What the fuck?
You're converting me. You're converting me. This game sucks.
Holy shit! Holy shit! I can't control it! I can't control it! It's not even... This is not a skill issue! I swear to God... I'm holding down right! I can't even line up!
Controls I've ever seen, and you aren't even on ice.
It wasn't a
What? What? What the fuck? You can just jump over it! Oh my god! 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 How the fuck
Are you still gonna make the time? Are you still gonna make the time?
No, I didn't! But I can! As you saw there, it was legitimately better to stay off the drift dash panels than ride them. It baffles me how they thought this was okay. Well, let's talk about Tails and what this game's writing is trying to accomplish. Unlike Samantha and General Knuckles, Tails is Tails and that's okay. However, as part of an effort to give Sonic a consistent lore to follow, Tails' art in this game is basically challenging his insecurities about how inconsistent he is as a character, acknowledging that Force is a badly written game and it comes off as very forced. Tails' arc in this game is the most forced of the group, and it isn't earned at all. Sonic lore is a weird conversation because a lot of games have a continuous story from one to the next, such as Sonic 2 to Sonic 3 to Sonic Mania to Sonic Forces to Sonic Mania Plus, Sonic Adventure 1 to Sonic Adventure 2 to Sonic Heroes to Shadow the Hedgehog, Sonic Battle to Sonic Advance 3, Sonic Rush to Sonic 06 to Sonic Rivals to Sonic Rivals 2 to Sonic Rush Adventure, Sonic Unleashed to Sonic and the Black Knight, Sonic Colors to Sonic Generations. It's more rare for the series to have an unconnected entry, so I don't think lore is out of the question, but that lore has to be consistent. But as I mentioned before, this game gives us more information about Chaos, and yet never acknowledges the fact that Chaos is there. Chowser also never brought up as well, despite the similarities they share to the Cocos. Tails' character in this game is all about his lore up until this point in the games, and he wants everything to be canon, but despite Chaos literally appearing in the game before, none of the characters have any comment on Chaos appearing. It's picking and choosing, just like Forces before it, which Frontiers itself called out. Also, to bring it up now, Sonic will literally walk around locations and say lines like, "Hey Amy, this place reminds me of Hilltop Zone from the hit 1992 game Sonic the Hedgehog 2 for the Sega Genesis," and that the dude can't recognize Chaos. To move on, let's talk about my experience at Chaos Island. You see, I spent way more time on this island than I really should have. As I mentioned earlier, there was a mission that if you completed it, it would not have cleared the square of the map that showed you cleared it. I spent hours looking for one mission that didn't exist because of Frontiers' shit UI! I eventually had to look up a guide online to see what missions were on the map, and my god, the realization pissed me off! Then I got stuck on the blue Chaos Emerald. It's always the blue fucking Chaos Emerald. You see, to get the blue Chaos Emerald, you needed to take a specific rail on this part of the island. The red circle is where the only rail to the blue emerald lies. This circle doesn't go straight into the island, so players wouldn't expect the only rail to the blue island to be there. Instead, given how the area is formed as seen in the screenshot here, the area I circled in green would make sense to be the place for progression, but it isn't. Instead, it's where I circled in the red circle, which you can see in screenshot 2, albeit from a distance. Also, as you can see in the screenshot, there's fog. Lots and lots of fog, which makes it hard to see rails in the sky, and again, given how every rail looks the same, you will not know if it's a new one. And the best part is that there is actually another way to get to that island, but this one is right up there with Cyberspace Free 5 for being one of the worst designed things in a Sonic game. You see, there is one bird. One singular fucking bird! This bird requires you to parry it, then do a quick time event, and then suddenly have to fly with it to the island. But you can actually kill the bird, and if you kill it, it won't respawn until a starfall happens. Oh, And in the area from screenshot 1, you can see rails to the blue Chaos Emerald Island coming towards the island you are on, but they are so high up, you can't fucking reach them! Which means this was a conscious game design decision by Sonic Team! Why does Sonic Team expect the player to learn a new mechanic never taught or explained or even used again? And if they don't kill it, they expect them to find a new entrance in the middle of bumfuck nowhere! And people defend this! We haven't even covered the main story minigames on this island yet, because all 4 of them get progressively worse than the other, and yet all 4 of them are bad. Minigame 1 is a Nier Automata top-down shooter minigame, except worse. This is one of 2 minigames to actually return to multiple islands. The other was the Twilight Princess goat herding minigame. This minigame is also how you fight the true final boss of the game, which we will get to later! You have 2 types of bullets, light and darkness. Shoot light and darkness, and vice versa. Or just spam both. It's so brain dead, but that shit is made mid by the rest of this island's fucking minigames. Time to play the Final Fantasy VII Remake box minigame. You know, everyone fucking liked. So Sonic needs parts from these boxes on these platforms that are over lava, and for some reason, there's a fucking time limit. Oh, but some platforms fall. But sadly, there's no good indication of them falling. They look the same as every other fucking platform. If you play at night, you can't see them wobble. And also, if they fall with you on top, you have no chance to save yourself because Sonic will drop like a fucking rock and cannot jump up to save his fucking life. And that's the second best minigame here. Time for minigame 3! This fucking bridge! For starters, you can see this bridge on the overworld. When you try to run up it, the game won't fucking let you! You instead have to wait for the game to let you go to it first, and then it'll have Sonic run up the bridge in the cutscene, but somehow, Sonic went so fast, he launched himself into the air! Now there's a skydiving minigame where you have to hit the ground before the timer runs out! The timer is strict, even more strict than the parry you are forced to use in the final boss of the DLC! Basically, there are floating spikes in the air, enemies trying to kill you, and rings from the Death Egg that you need to hit perfectly in order to progress! Oh, and also, if you hit the last Death Egg ring, the timer will keep going and can run out while you're stuck watching a cutscene! I proved my skill, but because your dumbass Death Egg rings have to go on a loop 5 fucking times, eat a burger at Denny's, and take a fucking shit, I failed the mission? Fuck you! I proved my fucking skill, and your dumbass design is what fucked me up! How the fuck am I supposed to fucking expect the rings to fucking loop around multiple times, get some Taco Bell, and then start winking it on the fucking toilet? What's more, is that according to interviews, Sonic is apparently making up all of this shit in his head. But sorry, Sonic, you're not him. You do not get the schizophrenia rights, especially after making my life worse. And yet, gets worse. Because the thing about the other 3 minigames is that they're all skill-based. Minigame number 4 is luck-based, and controls like shit! It's pinball! Something of a constant in the series, and my god, somebody get Sega. Please replace all of Sonic Team's staff. This group is done! How do people like this game?! You have to get a ridiculously high number score at pinball, which takes a fucking while, and breaks whatever fucking pacing this game had. Oh, and fucking crushes its bones. Takes human flesh, eats it, and then wears it in a skin suit and pretends it's good when it really fucking isn't. Yeah, people eat it up because it's my famous person! Oh, that wasn't bad enough. The physics are all so shit. You just lose whatever game wants. You just needed RNG in this already shit game! Baffles me how this game had 13. That's right, 13 fucking game testers! Because shit like this certainly wasn't fucking play tested! Literally, how does a game like this come to market for $60 fucking dollars? Fuck this game! Let's finish this fucking island. Knight's gimmick is that he throws a shield. Whoop-de-doo. These quick time events, supersonic gifts, stills, whatever the fuck you call it! People keep using online to show how cool this game is. Like, wow, he's holding a laser in his aura! Whoa, guys, he went for the body of a titan! Whoa, he Mario 64 Wyvern! He opened up Wyvern's mouth so he could eat its own missiles! Wow, guys, look how cool he is just standing there! He realizes it all! Oh my god, he's telepathically wielding a sword while having animations and Jesse's supposed to hold it! Whoa, guys! Look, he's just standing there, crossing his arms, pointing his fingers. Look how cool he is. You people would literally be entertained by dangling keys. With night completely glossed over, we can leave this damn fucking island and go fuck off somewhere else in this fucking hellhole. Alright, this area also had 2 themes I liked. Guardian Fortress and Find Your Flame of fucking course. What else would it have been? I guess it gets better from here, but really not by much.
All of this over a blue fucking hedgehog.
Chaos Island is the last of the normal islands, as these next 2 islands are thankfully shorter and different. As you may notice, the map of this Rhea island is already cleared out. But it's also the same map from Kronos Island, as it's basically the top half you couldn't explore before. Rhea Island is basically the story island. There's no guardians, no cyberspace, no memory tokens. You have to climb 5 towers and watch some cutscenes. These 5 towers are the most platforming you have to do in the base game, and these are frustrating to say the least. Thankfully, the game will have checkpoints for these, but any niceness this later half of the game will have is frankly unfucking earned. It's like calling a girl a dumb, bitchy, cum dumpster slut, gold digger, and then coming back the next day and being like, hey, I didn't mean any of that! Like you already fucked up, huh? Oh, right. Sonic finally meets Eggman after succumbing to cyber corruption. I've been glossing over the story if it hasn't been obvious. As I've already mentioned, Sonic, Tails, and Samantha all flew to the Starfall Islands. All of them got stuck in cyberspace, and Sonic was thankfully able to escape by doing basic platforming. So why did the other three get stuck? Especially Knuckles, who was literally shown a platform in the fucking prologue animation. Ah, fuck it. I don't fucking get it. Great writing, Flynn. Great fucking writing! Anyway, over the last 3 islands, whenever Sonic freed his friends, he would gain some sort of corruption, looking worse and worse as the game went on. Even his friends worried for him. Oh no! Also, over the course of the game, Eggman has also been in cyberspace trying to get his AI companion, Sage, who's the best character in this game, let's be honest. That isn't General Knuckles, of course, to save him. Her suggestion is that she must team up with Sonic to get out safely, which Eggman obviously refuses and then gets out anyway. Also, GLaDOS is clearly leading Sonic towards his doom, and when GLaDOS gets Sonic to take down the towers on Rhea, she is revealed to be the bad guy known as the End. And she plans on destroying the world, yada yada yada. Kirby, 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 that's a name you should know. Kirby, Kirby, Kirby is the star of the show! Somehow, Sonic's friends returned, despite falling into Death Star. I mean, following him all game. Like, why didn't Samantha and Knuckles follow Sonic to the other islands? That would have actually legitimately spiced up those boring-ass cutscenes. Like, is that hard to have 3/4/5 character models standing around just to talk? Anyway, Sonic's friends were able to save Sonic by sacrificing themselves, and so Sonic can go to the next island, where the only goal is to get the Chaos Emeralds, and then fight the final boss. Welcome to the best island in the game, because unlike every other island, there's actual good game design here. I know, right? That sounds surprising after Chaos Island. All you have to do in this island is get the 6 Chaos Emeralds, since Eggman's going to get the 7th for you. Thank God. At this point, you can also access DLC story, but don't do that because we'll get there later. Also, it is also the true ending now, so all great. Anyway, let's talk about missions. I've already explained what missions can do, but I have barely touched what missions are. Missions are the stupidest aspect of this game, since they are incredibly easy or in some very rare cases, incredibly cryptic. But get ready, because we're gonna be going through this one by one. Some require you to just step on a button, circle a torch, homing attack switches, step on tiles that are on a grid, hit platforms so they can get raised so you can platform on them, race to one end of the map within a time limit, just press R2 and a hamster wheel, destroy some weeds. There's one mission where you can see a climbable wall, but you can't climb to the other side, so you need to side loop the platform below it for some reason, and the first platform is not even used. It's just there for no reason. And one where you sidestep over and over again. There are missions you can only do at night, and you can't change the clock so skip travel, so you just have to wait there. You may have to hit blue balls in the rings, which is just as awkward as it sounds, hit the sandbag, parry one bullet, play Tetris but bad, play some jump rope but bad, jump from platform to platform, have a ball hit you on the head so you can finally end it all, and lastly, play with mirrors. All of these, except for the ones that challenge your speed, are boring, and thankfully the speed-based ones are the most common ones. Let's also talk about Guardians, because it's been a while since I brought those up, and I've also been glossing over those. I've already already talked about Ninja slash Ashura, but what I didn't mention is that those two become super mindless at the sonic boom. Now what about the others? Well, Ashura can be defeated by side looping his legs, so pick your poison on which one you found more mindless. In order to fight Tower, you have to climb on top of him and slam down on him. You can do this via a number of ways. It doesn't fucking matter. There's Squid! Squid requires you to run after it on a Starlight Carnival light path and dodge whatever is coming towards you. As soon as you catch up, you get into an arena where you can damage it with Sonic Boom. Squid also has a glitch where if you don't engage with it, his boring ass theme will continue to play even though you are on the other side of the map. This can cause certain things to just not work. They did not playtest this. Then there's Shark. Shark will basically pull you along the sand where you just do basic quicktime events. Strider requires you to side loop its rails so you can create an arena to attack it. Then there's Sumo, who requires you to side loop it, then homing attack it, and then use the arena rings. And then use the arena rings you're in to bounce him into the arena rings. Why'd I write that twice? Tank will just take you into a tornado it created, where you have to attack its 4 sides before it spins. Then you go to land to attack it. Spider! Here you must throw Pikmin at its legs, have them climb up the legs, or just use yellows in front of him at its head. Make sure you don't let your Pikmin get crushed, because they will die and it's sad. Sorry, wrong game. Side up the legs, help me attack its head, then skydive down, hit its head, hit one ring to slam down its head. You already get the fucking point. For Fortress, you just follow it towards the edge, get on some rails, listen to good music, side up the rails that are blue, and then read the red head of the fortress. Basically, it just wastes your fucking time. Go figure. For Caterpillar, who also has our 7th good song, by the way, I recommend listening to this one, you will get sucked onto a grind rail where you must hit all of the blue balls. On the last blue ball, you must homing attack some yellow balls. But be careful, that is just as awkward as it sounds. Oh, and it can also damage you, but it's awkward. And lastly, Ghost. We have our 8th good song in the game. Basically, to defeat Ghost, side loop its pillars. However, in the last few phases of the fight, the game will require you to platform towards the last few pillars. All the while, Ghost will drain your rings, so you have to have them on you for this fight. This is the best Guardian slash boss fight in the game, and was a genuine surprise to play through during my first time fighting him. More boss fights should have been designed like Ghost. It's a shame that he's left for the final area, however. Ninja and Tower also have 3 more variants of their fights, each of course being no different than their first fight, and Squid also has a variant of Chaos Island, but in game it's just referred to as Squid. They couldn't even do Calamari or some shit. Like, what the fuck? It was right there! A lot of these Guardian fights are gimmicky and just don't teach you anything you need for the game. The few that do are Ashura, since his gimmick is needed for Giganto, Tower because you have to fight Tower in Ares Island, Spider because his skydiving mechanic is later reused for that bridge minigame in Chaos Island. Every other Guardian, including Ghost, is stuff you don't need to learn to beat the game. If I didn't feel like trying to side loop spots on the world map, I would just fight Ninja, since Ninja and its variants die instantly to Sonic Boom, and it was the quickest thing to do to just get on with the game. You don't need to learn combat since Supersonic has his own moveset. Ouranos Island feels like it was actually made for Sonic to explore in comparison to every other island in this game, and in some ways, feels like it was also meant to be the first island. The first mission on this island is laid out very tutorial-like, even more so than the actual first island. This island also has 9 cyberspace missions, and 4 of them are original. There's also an optional island mystery, which up to this point, every single one of these were mandatory. This unlocks a gate which gets us a single cyberspace mission too. It's weird because the minigame you have to do to even reach this cyberspace area is also the best one in the entire game, since you have to listen to different pitches, which actually requires you to think for once in this game. It doesn't feel unfair at that. Ironically enough, the best island mystery in this game is a completely optional one that pretty much gets you nothing. So with cyberspace here, let's rip this band-aid off once and for all. I want to go over some numbers here. There are 30 cyberspace levels of 4 cyberspace themes, each with 2 to 3 variants. The level design for each is either original, SA2 speed, Unleash boost, modern generations, and classic generations. You've all heard this feel before, so let's get to the point. Let's see how each one is used. Green Hill is used for 10 of the 30 levels, Sky Sanctuary is used for 6 of the 30 levels, Chemical Plant is used for 8 of the 30 levels, and Eternal Highway is used for 6 of the 30 levels. Sky Sanctuary does not appear in Ouranos, Eternal Highway does not appear in Ares or Chaos Island, and we already know there are 6 original levels in this game. Unleashed has 8 of the 30 levels, Modern Generations has 7 of the 30 levels, Classic Generations has 3 of the 30 levels, SA2 has 6 of the 30 levels. Technically, when Generations added together, it has 10, and the numbers are split the exact same. Also, only Chemical Plant and Eternal Highway actually have original levels. If the level is Green Hill or Sky Sanctuary, they will not have original levels. I don't really have a point here, I just wanted to share this fact. Also, to clarify it now, since I didn't clarify it before, I got this information from Sonic WikiZone because despite doing this, I'm not that nerdy to where I can recognize reused level design on the fly. Granted, I was able to recognize it when replaying Generations recently, but that's only because, you know, I just played this game back to back. There's only 2 minigames you need to do in Ouranos Island, and they're both the same. You just have to do that Nier Automata top-down shooter game again. Both cannot be accessed until it is time to get the Chaos Emeralds they are locked behind. When you do the second one, make sure to set your game to hard if you actually want to fight the true final boss, because if you don't, you will have a better life. If you want a final boss to rip your hair out to, set the game to hard so you can suffer what is easily the second worst final boss in human fucking history! That's right, I said second. The main final boss when you aren't playing hard is called Supreme. Supreme is basic, he's done. Now, we are here to talk about this piece of fucking shit. Mom called me during this, I'm sorry, Mom. Imagine Nyx from Persona 3, but it's a top-down shooter on what is basically a time limit, and you've had only 3 opportunities to actually train for this. I mean, it's more than the combat in this game, but you know. Oh, and also, if you die, you have to redo the entire fight all over again and listen to all of the ends dialogue over and over again. Oh, and the kicker? Oh, the ending isn't fucking different. It's the exact same, except a worse song plays instead of Vandalize. Both songs are pretty good though, and are number 9 and 10 on the songs I like list. In the regular story, this fight is just a cutscene. You should only do this fight for bragging rights, because there is no reason to actually fight this boss. And even then, if you decide to do it for bragging rights, you should go get admitted into a hospital right now. I did it earlier. You should join me. But we're not done yet, because this ending is now non-canon, and there's a new ending in town via Final Horizons, which for the record, if you haven't kept track of my ranking for every single fucking island in this game, Kronos Island is number 4, Ares Island is number 2, Chaos Island is number 6, that piece of shit, Rhea Island is number 3, and this island is number 1, but Final Horizons, that's number 5, and given the track record of numbers 4 and 6, oh fucking boy, do I have some words to say about Final Horizons! Welcome to the main part of this fucking video! To access Final Horizons, you must enter a gold ring. A cutscene that explains the basic premise. Basically, Sonic sent his friends to look for the Chaos Emeralds instead of himself, and this somehow caused the level design to get fucking worse. The play is modern Amy, Knuckles, and Tails in a mainline game for the first time since Sonic 06, which is cool to finally see Sega do this again. Too bad they fucked it all up! Remember how I said Amy isn't Amy in this game? That applies to her moveset. You see, she barely uses her hammer. She has like 1 to 2 moves that use the hammer. Instead, Amy's all about tarot cards. Basically, in some random manual, it's explained that Amy used tarot cards to find Sonic. Ian Flynn took that small detail and made that her entire personality! Moves that once used the hammer now use tarot cards, and people are very mixed on this. People defend it by calling it a hobby, but up until this game, we got no hint of this being even her hobby. In this game, everything is about tarot cards with her. The only reason it has come back so much is because Flynn is trying to say, hey guys, I know the source material, by using manuals that can't even get Sonic's age right. That being said, well, it sucks having to play as Samantha instead of Amy. Samantha does have the best moveset in the game. In a similar vein to Princess Peach in Super Mario 3D World, Samantha can hover in the air and slowly glide down, allowing for more accurate platforming, and even better, skips that actually feel fun to pull off. For context, if it wasn't for Samantha, I would have a harder time deciding if this or Chaos Island is worse. Samantha also has a high jump to gain even more height. She even gets the ever so fun spin dash in a way to hurt enemies while boosting, which for context, Sonic can't do anymore. Good on you, Samantha. I wouldn't mind if you return as a better character. You certainly play better than Sonic in this game. Oh boy. Knuckles is the single worst character to play as in this game, probably up there for one of the worst playable characters in the series. He can glide and climb walls like the usual, but his gliding is just bad and he can only climb select walls in the open zone game inspired by Breath of the Wild. You honestly have to play the game to understand just how bad he plays in this game. It's that fucking bad. Oh, right, he can also dig, but doing that is just awkward. Again, you have to fucking play it to figure out how bad it is. Tails is the most broken character out of the bunch. Normally he's bad being a projectile throwing character in combat and having a flying mechanic that works worse than Amy's hover. However, there is one skill that Tails gets that allows Tails to just infinitely fly wherever he wants. You see, you can create an infinity symbol that allows for you to get an infinite boost gauge. And that same symbol allows Tails to infinitely boost around the world. But yeah, you just do simple quests to get the Chaos Emeralds as these characters, and while some of them play like shit, there's sections this part potentially worse than Kronos. No, that would be Sonic's part. For starters, Final Horizons gave Sonic the Spin Dash, and this Spin Dash, man, it's easily Sonic's most fun move, as it's basically the boost button, and zipping across the map with it is surprisingly fun to do, and is again another reason why this map is better than Chaos Island. It's a real damn shame that this speed wasn't part of the base game, and that it's saved for this, because the game wouldn't be nearly as bad with it. A lot of the running around that happened in Chaos Island would have been a lot better with a simple Spin Dash, and yet there are fans who want this cut from the next game. The main goal of Final Horizons is climbing the 5 towers, so you can get a power strong enough to defeat the end. Even though in base game he was completely fine, and the ending to this game is the same ending as base game. These towers are locked behind lookout cocos, which you can find all over the map. You can also get them from cyberspace, so cyberspace is completely optional. Speaking of cyberspace, all 9 levels are reused from base game. The following levels from base game are reused: 1-4, free 1, 4-5, 4 free, 1-5, 2-4, 4-2, 4-4, 1-7. Cyberspace also has new goals in the form of finding the number rings, flickies, and the silver moon rings. When the number rings and silver moon rings are what is to be expected at this point, flickies require Sonic to pick them up and carry them to a portal out of hell. This limits Sonic's abilities and is a mechanic I think should return and be expanded upon. Cyberspace levels also have a second exit, which is cool to see. Too bad it doesn't really do much. All the cyberspace levels have a gimmick here. Let's go over them one by one. 1-4 has these new honeycombs all over the place. Sonic's boost has been turned into a rocket boost, which is fine, I guess. Spin Dash is still superior. 3-1 is a race against Tails, which, given how these stages are how Sonic escapes cyberspace, you'd expect Tails to be able to do the same since he shows here he can go for cyberspace easily. But, you know, I really just do not care about the plot at this point. Although if you go for every collectible, you should be able to beat Tails, but the fact the game makes you lose because you need to be a completionist is bullshit. If you haven't seen how much a Spin Dash breaks cyberspace in 2, then this level will show you. In order to be optimal, you gotta do shit that'll seem unintentional, which is always a sign of great design. 4-5 has both the rocket boost and a race against Tails. This mission doesn't have any flickies and can be beaten in one full try. 4-3 has a mine radar mechanic and has a speed-based game. Luckily, it is pretty intuitive, but still not that good of a mechanic. They work best with the flickies, but only 2 of the 4 in this level have a mine nearby. 1-5 puts a bomb above Sonic's head, and you have to beat the level without the clock running out. There are timers to increase the amount of time you have. Okay, an actual really good idea. Not even Generations had this. 2-4 is yet another race against Tails, but also has the 11th song I actually like from this game, as it's a remix of a song I already talked about. The final song I liked in this game was a Ghost remix, since Old Guardians and Ouranos got remixes for Final Horizons. This one has the same issues as Free 1, get all the collectibles and lose, don't get collectibles and win. Again, it's just badly designed. 4-2 has a unique mechanic where boosting won't lower a gauge, rather it'll increase it, and the more you boost, the faster you go. This is the only stage where the flickies mechanic doesn't work and should have stayed out rather than be kept in. 4-4 is another stage with the mine mechanic, and only 2 of the free flickies are near a mine. Also, some of the blocks in the map are so weirdly placed, you'd think this is an open zone. 1-7 is our final cyberspace level of Final Horizons, and has 2 unique things about it. 1, you're going through 1-7 backwards. 2, low gravity. You can go higher, but you also descend slower. Again, not a bad idea. It sucks that none of the levels are original, but some of the concepts here are legitimately good and can be expanded into better projects. Granted, this is Sonic Team, so I highly doubt any of them could. Upon getting out, so this game makes me sick now. Starfall Plus is a new version of the Starfall mechanics from base game, even brighter. No way to turn it off. This makes me sick. Sick. To the pile. That Sonic rope. This is seizure-inducing and you have no option to turn it off. What the fuck is wrong with you, Sonic Frontiers? Why do you have settings in base game to turn it off, but not here, you fucking scumbags? We'll have to wait 10 minutes before we can even move on, because yes, that's how long it takes! Moving on, let's just climb these towers. What the fuck? These towers suck. Okay, the first one isn't that bad, but my god, it'd be incredibly awkward at times. The second one is destroyable walls you need a homing attack, but if you fall down, they won't respawn. It's like basic game design 101. How did they just keep getting worse? I don't fucking get it! Even then, you have to stand on these very, very, very thin ledges that Sonic was not made to stand on. And you have to navigate around exploding boxes on a tight corridor. Whose idea was this? And you have to navigate giant blocks super awkwardly because Sonic controls worse than a fucking Roblox obby? Not to mention that the homing attack can still fail if you aren't careful. Then you have a wall climbing tower, and it's as awkward as it sounds. Then there's a rail grinding one that requires you to use fans. Fucking fans to blow you where you need to go. And yes, that is as awkward as it sounds. There's a part where you need to jump off a loop-de-loop rail, and super awkward to time it. I end up having to do a different method just to complete the trial. Then you have more fans, and you're on rails. It's so anxiety-inducing because you never know how much progress you'll fucking lose on these. Then you have to do a side loop in the middle of mid-air in the middle of the fucking sky with only rails around you, and yes, that is as awkward as it sounds. The game then requires you to hit one single fan in the sky that is far away. It's such fucking bullshit because you can barely control Sonic in midair. And then the final of the towers is thankfully a lot less bullshit than the second and fourth towers. There's a part where you're running and very few time to actually dodge something. Oh my god. There's also a portion where you can kill something you need to stay alive and it won't respawn. So glad to see they learned fucking nothing! However, I glossed over one aspect of these towers. The fucking combat trials. There are 5 of these and they're all kind of shit. Trial 1's the easiest. Sonic stats are set to their base level and you have to defeat 4 regular enemies of Ouranos Island. Spam Sonic Boom and it's a cakewalk. As a matter of fact, most of these set you to your base level. Trial 2 has these monsters of Froder shells in a circle. You have to use an exploit to beat all 4 of them. That's right, a fucking exploit. You see, Sonic fans actually praised 1-2 for its difficult S rank, and they wanted more of that. This is the result of that. And ironically enough, people actually hate Final Horizons because of this. I had a conversation with my friend about this. He looked at me like I was crazy for saying Chaos Island was worse than this. Well, sure, Chaos Island didn't require exploits to beat. It sure as hell didn't have stuff to actually praise like this island did near the start of it. That exploit, you want to know what that exploit is? You must homing attack it while parrying the shell so it doesn't reach his body. And yes, once again, that is as awkward as it sounds. Trial 3 is also strangely easy, getting you into a fight with the circling shadow clone enemies. You just parry them and attack them, nothing more to it. Trial 4 is a rematch against Ninja, which is as easy as it sounds. But the real problem lies in Trial 5. Trial 5 has you go super and defeat the 3 Titans, all within one set of 400 rings, because even if you max out your rings, that doesn't fucking matter. The game will force you to do a level 1 run. So yippee for upgrades, because what's the point of upgrading fucking your character, right? What's the point of an upgrade system if you're just gonna fucking reset us? Kanto is once again the easiest, but you gotta, and I mean, you gotta speedrun the fuck out of this fight, since time is everything. Wyvern is the one that will take your time, because you're essentially spending the entire battle waiting for it to get closer to you, so you can actually parry it. Then, you have to beat Knight within the time you have left, which won't be a lot, which means you also have to play Knight perfectly. You will essentially have to use specific moves at specific times if you have any hope of defeating the boss, and yes, that is just as frustrating as it sounds. Many players can't even beat this because these fights weren't designed to be put together like this, and it's very clear no playtesting was fucking done here! They literally put free bosses together, put them under a strict time limit, and expected gamers to just be okay with it! Oh, and a new mechanic that was also introduced for this fight, the perfect parry, because to make the fight even harder, you can't just hold a parry down anymore. No. You have to get it perfect now, which need I tell you how bad of a game design choice that is? All game, we have learned that the parry is broken. Now you decided on the second to last battle of the game to make it strict! Are you fucking high? Well, how the hell do you even have a job? Oh, and here's the kicker. Remember how I called the end in the base game the second worst final boss I've ever faced? That's because first place is also in this game. Are you ready for a rematch that'll make you want to kill yourself? Welcome to the end/Supreme in Final Horizons. First phase is the same as from base game. Let's move on to the new shit, because the new shit is new shit. Anyway, first phase. Waste your ring count and attack for nothing to happen, because behold, Supersonic 2, whose only difference is longer quills and blue eyes. Hypersonic was cooler and way better in this hack of a lazy ass form. Oh, and you are now forced the perfect parry. So yeah, good upgrade game. Fuck you. Anyway, you attack it again, kill it, wait there for a fucking cutscene again, and now it's healed up again. But now we get into the real bullshit. You see, what you need to do with this boss is you need to target the chain connecting him to the end. But if you locked on and use the right stick, nothing fucking happens! Not if you press any buttons that make sense, not because you need to learn a new mechanic not once ever needed in the game! Not taught in any Guardian fight, and never even hinted. And that's switching targets. What are you supposed to do when attacking? You are supposed to sidestep at the same time, but it doesn't even work all the time. So you waste more and more time. 2 more and more quick time events and watch Sonic be as lifeless as fucking possible! This is the worst final boss I have ever fought in my life. I legitimately want to fucking kill myself because of this boss. And you know what's even worse? This boss could have been cooler! In the end cutscene for when Sonic goes to defeat the boss once and for all, he awakens to another new form! A cyber corruption form where he's all blue, and it's way cooler than fucking Super Sonic 2! But sadly, it's only used in a cutscene! You might have noticed that I've used music from almost every Sonic game out there for this one video, but one thing I didn't do is use songs from games that came out after this one. Because after this fucking fight, I am done with this blue piece of shit rat. I do not care that murder is free. He was already dead to me. With this fight done, this game is over, and I never have to play it ever fucking again. This is the worst Sonic game, period. Sonic the Hedgehog is one of gaming's biggest icons, and even if this game failed, I highly doubt they would have scrapped the blue guy. The team likes to say that Frontiers is their last shot, but I really do highly doubt that because of the success of the movies alone. The ending of this game shows Sonic, Tails, Amy, and Knuckles going back home while also talking about moving on and doing their own thing, and I really hope that means the next game will have new designs for the entire cast. These characters are clearly older now and they need to actually show that they grew up. I think a reboot would be for the best at this point. The series has gone back to multiple games in a year, every year, and that exact situation is what led to games like Pokemon Scarlet or Violet, or better yet, as a more personal example, Sonic 06, being rushed out. Even though Frontiers was a success, Final Horizons showed that this team was still incompetent, and even listens to praise that makes a worse game in 2023. In 2024, however, going off footage from VGC's channels uploaded on June 8th, 2024, Shadow Generations legitimately looks better. And that will be my final dance with Sonic if it's bad, but I don't think it will be. It looks good, and I'm hoping the final game will be that good. Kishimoto, at his time with Sonic Team, has had what I would call only one success with Colors, but it's clear as day that success was due to Sonic Team actually having a great team of developers back then. I do feel that Kishimoto is genuinely doing more harm to this franchise than good with the amount of cut corners and laziness that has followed him. I think the fact that he reused level design for almost all of cyberspace should be proof enough that he really shouldn't be heading Sonic Team, nor should he really be there. I think it's extremely telling that Shadow Generations doesn't even seem to be developed by Kishimoto, and yet it looks way more fun than anything seen from Frontiers. Again, Sega hid footage of Forces and Frontiers before launch. They didn't with Shadow. This ending also has me just very worried. You see, IDW and Boom characters are made canon in this game, and I just don't know how to feel about that. Especially making Sonic lore more of a serious discussion as the goal, I really do not see how to I don't know how to feel about that. Sonic Prime Season 3 was also made canon, which I don't even need to get into how much of a mess that was. I'm probably not going to see Movie Free unless it kills Maria or Shadow Generations is good, because I just don't see the point in giving my money to a team that won't make a good game. One Way Dream is the song that plays during the finale if you beat the game on hard. The song is sung by Nate Wants a Battle, now Give Hearts Records. The lyrics are a message from Kishimoto to Sonic fans. The song is about pushing ahead of all the obstacles life may throw at you, and is supposed to represent Sonic Team pushing against all the hatred they've received over the years. Ironic, I know. There's a lyric here that says, "You and me were built on trust," which I personally find hilarious because I have little trust in the Sonic brand to actually be good again, and I'm just kind of wondering what would have happened if this game actually had a more negative reception. Like, this song comes off as if Kishimoto knew people would overall like this game, which he was right about, sadly. There's also a line about reaching for the top, which I'm just gonna come out and say it, you're at rock fucking bottom. This song to me comes off as very egotistical of Kishimoto, and the fact you have to go through hell to even hear the song makes it even worse to me. Since we're on the topic of music, I would like to go over what songs I liked from this game once more. The songs I liked are 1-2 Flowing, Undefeatable, 2-4 Hype Street, Break Through It All, Guardian Fortress, Find Your Flame, Guardian Caterpillar, Guardian Ghost, Vandalize, One Way Dream, 4F Hype Street Remix, Guardian Ghost Remix, and Action Change Challenge, which I had decided early on to not do in my streamed playthrough, that it was not worth doing the Action Change Challenges, which is why I barely covered the topic. So yeah, 13 songs out of 146? Yeah, that's where the second correction post-launch of the video needs to be made, because that 146 number is actually incorrect. That's only counting songs from the base game, and was based off Deoxys Prime's playlist of the OST. The number would be accurate if I said 10 out of 146, not 13. So no, it's actually much worse for Frontier's case. I only liked 13 out of 200 songs, and that's using Sonic's mixtapes numbers from his playlist when excluding songs from older games and the early version of Action Chain Challenge, which sounds almost identical to the final. Again, music is subjective, but that's why I am pulling out this range. I think this range shows the true quality of the soundtrack. There's 200 songs, and only 13 of them are good. That is, from a number standpoint, not a good sign. I said at the beginning that this is the worst Sonic game, and I do firmly believe that. While yes, a game like Eraser is probably worse, I don't care about a game that aged poorly nearly as much to a game that came out in 2022 on modern consoles. When compared to games like Blast, 06, Freeriders, Boomrise Lyric, or even Forces, I have legitimate reasons as to why I believe those are better. Blast was an ambitious concept for the time, and while bad, it was a product of pushing a system to its absolute limit. 06 has a ton of glitches, but when you look beyond those glitches, the game actually isn't that bad. Hell, fucking fan projects that get rid of the glitches, like Project 06, can show the game can be fixed and made into a good game. Now, I am not saying mods make the game good, I'm just saying that its main problems are glitches, not the core game design. Freeriders can be fixed by giving it normal controls, something that you can do now. Again, not to say it excuses it, but again, it's not a problem with its core game design. Boom was rushed, but there was a clear soul behind it, as seen with the simple fact that the game had brand new designs. And Forces, for how shit that game is, at least it had original level design for every single one of its levels. Sonic Frontiers is a video game bothers me, because it pains me to see a game so soulless to actually outsell great video games with soul. Video games are an art form, but to see games like this, which are basically the equivalent of fast food, get so many sales really does pain me. Sonic used to be a childhood franchise of mine. I would love nothing more than for it to be successful, but now it's honestly one of my most hated franchises. I was going to move on and never turn back, but since Shadow seems to be confronting his pasts again, I may as well join him. Shadow seems to be ripping off Venom, so let's make this the last dance. Old friend.
I'm out of here.